welcome to the world famous saloon number 10. Now this is the only museum in the world with a bar in it. I know. You know that's why I hang out here. I love museums. He's tough crowd. Well, anyway, I know why you're all here today. You're to watch me play some cards, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to do that for you. First, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself and how I came to be the man you know me as today. And also, I ended up here in Deadwood. Well, I can tell you, it's going to be pretty tough to concentrate on stories with these cards sitting all idle like that back here, but I'll do my best. Now, when I do get ready to play cards, I'll ask for 4 volunteers out of y'all. So if you want to volunteer to come up here and play cards with me, wait till I ask, then raise your hand up high and go, "Pick me!" And I might pick you. All right. Y'all know who I am?
Wild
Bill Hickok. Exactly right. Well, James Butler Hickok. Most folks nowadays, they do like to call me Wild Bill. And like I said, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself. May as well start from the beginning. I was born in Troy Grove, Illinois, May 27th of 1837. Quick, how old's that make me?
Oh.
39, exactly right. Good job. Now, I am going to skip over a little bit because I really don't think you'd probably recognize me until about 1865. The Civil War had just ended. Well, I did fight during the Civil War. I was a scout, a spy, and a sharpshooter for the Northern Army. But when the war did end, well, I just like everybody else. I needed work. So I took off looking for work. I headed west. I didn't get too far west before I stopped in my first town, a place called Springfield, Missouri. Now, Springfield, or just a stopping point for me, but I did find a card game right away, and if you don't know anything else about me, surely you know that I ain't passing me up a good game of poker. Now, in this game, I played with a fella by the name of Davis Tutt. And Davis, he was a southern boy, and of course I fought for the North during the war, so how we got along well enough to sit across the table from each other, I have no idea. Man, that guy really did not like me at all. But we managed, and we did play for a couple days. Unfortunately, I ended up owing him about $35. Now, $35 being quite a sum of money that I didn't have, and Davis really wanted some collateral, well, I didn't know what I was going to do. All I had was an old pocket watch that my daddy had given me, and I wasn't about to give that up. But Davis, he was relentless. He wanted something to ensure him that he was getting his money back. So, reluctantly, I did end up giving him that pocket watch, but I told him, I said, "Now, Davis, don't be going around telling everybody how you took that from me in a card game, because that ain't how it happened. That watch means a whole lot more to me than $35, and I'm getting it back." Well, the very next day, here's Davis Tutt in the streets of Springfield, swinging that watch around, bragging to everybody, taunting me with it. Oh, I yelled at him across the town square, told him to knock it off, but he didn't want to listen. He yells back at me, I yell back at him. Then what's he do? He pulls out a gun and he takes a shot at me. Landed right at my feet. Well, if you know anything about the West, you don't take a shot at somebody unless you expect one coming right back at you. And I don't miss. I lined up and dated 75 yards across that town square with my .36 caliber black powder pistol. Bang! One shot, right to the heart. Well, the authorities authorities here in Springfield were none too happy with me shooting a fella down in their streets. And they arrested me. They told me that I was liable for the death of Davis Tutt. Well, I said, what about self-defense? He shot first. Yeah, all the witnesses on his side said he was just funning around. He wasn't really shooting at me. You know, I'm quite sure he don't think it's too fun anymore. Well, the judge saw it my way. Self-defense. I was acquitted there in Springfield, but I did figure it's about high time I got out of town. As I'm leaving town, I ran into another fellow who just happened to be at that gunfight, and he saw the whole thing. He was a writer by the name of Henry Nickel. Now, Mr. Nickel, he wrote for Harper's Monthly. He wrote a lot of them dime novels out on the East Coast. Said he wanted to do an interview with me. Said the people out there, they needed a hero in a new frontier, and, well, I guess he was going to make me it. Now, in this interview, I did tell him some stories about myself, and yeah, maybe I did exaggerate just a tad, but not nearly as much as he did. By the time he told that story, he had me killing around 200 people. Can you believe that? It was more like less than a half a dozen at this point. But it did make me famous. I went from being James Butler Hickok to being Wild Bill Hickok, the Prince of the Pistoliers, the greatest gunfighter the West had ever seen. And while the fame was nice, it kind of put a target on my back. Now every guy that had a gun wanted to be the guy that shot down the greatest gunfighter. Well, I had to be extra cautious from then on. Still need to get out of Springfield. Though acquitted, they were not happy about it. I still needed work, so I took off and I headed west again. I traveled across Kansas doing odd jobs just to survive. I drove a little freight for a while, scouted all over that place, and as I'm out there scouting, I noticed a few things. I noticed a lot of small towns were sprouting up out there. Yeah, it seemed like everybody just kind of headed west on this big land grab, you know? But I also noticed a lot of them towns, they didn't have any law in them to speak of. Kind of gave me an idea, maybe I should be a lawman. So that's what I did. And I cleaned up a lot of towns across Kansas. Places like Fort Riley, Wichita, Hays City, a couple more. Till I ended up in Abilene, Kansas. Now, see, Abilene, it was a rough cattle town. One of the roughest there was. Them cattle drives, they come through there, bring all sorts of outlaws and ruffians with them. They'd shoot up the town, scare the daylights out of the good folks there just trying to make a life for themselves. The people of Abilene, well, they were more than happy when they heard the great Wild Bill Hickok had taken the job as their marshal and was going to clean that place up. I got there, I laid down some new ground rules. Do not bring your guns to town. Certainly don't be shooting them off in city limits. But there was this guy. There's always this guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Fella by the name of Phil Coe. Phil, he was a Texas cattleman. He bought a bar there in Abilene, and I guess he had a little problem with my authority. See, I was a marshal. I laid down the rules and I enforced them. And Phil, he didn't want to follow the rules. He just wanted to argue with me about them all the time. Every day it was something new with that guy. Day in, day out, everything I did was wrong according to Phil. Now, I think we all know how them arguments is going to turn out. They're going to come to a head someday, and this one was no different. See, I'm sitting in the saloon early one evening, you know, having a drink, minding my own business, winding down from a long day's work, and I hear this ruckus in the street. People are screaming and hollering, guns are going off everywhere. I ran outside to investigate, and who is it? It's Phil Coe and all his friends shooting up the town, scaring everybody. Well, much like Davis, I yelled at him to knock it off too, but he didn't want to listen either. Pretty soon we got this big shouting match going on, and, well, Phil reaches for his pistol. Big mistake. I'm quicker. I saw him reach for his, reached mine, drew first, bam, shot him dead right there. But, like I said, he had all those friends with him. And they all had guns too. Not by myself. I'm on the defensive. I looked up at them all and I yelled, "Who wants the rest of these?" Nobody said a word. Till I heard somebody yell my name from back in the alley. I turned, quick shot again. Oh, I shot my deputy, Mike Williams. You guys are laughing about it. Let me try that again. I shot my friend, my deputy. Yeah, it's a little late for that, but thanks anyway. Jeez. Yeah, some of you folks got a real sick sense of humor in here. That was a bad day. Well, I didn't much want to be a lawman anymore after that. So I gave it up, and I moved on. I bounced across Kansas again, doing the things I'd like to do, try and make myself feel a little better. I mean, sure, I had a drink or several, but I did find good card games about any town I went to. Now, at this point in my life, after I'd shot my deputy there in Abilene, my friends were worried about me. They said I was drinking way too much, spinning out of control, wasting my life away, and, well, they all wanted to give me a leg up of sorts. When I ran into Buffalo Bill Cody, now I know y'all know who that is, and Buffalo Bill and our other friend Texas Jack, well, they come up to me and say, "Bill, we're taking a Wild West show out to the East Coast, and we would be honored if you would join us." Well, not doing much else at the time and really needing some money, I said, why not? Let's take that Wild West show out there and show them Easterners just how wild it really is out here. Truth be told, I didn't care for that. No, some people are showmen and some aren't. Buffalo Bill? Heck yeah, there's a showman for you. Me? No, not so much. You know, I did get into a little bit of trouble out there. See, my friend Buffalo Bill, he didn't think it was right that I was drinking and carrying on during the shows, and, well, he took my liquor away. I'm here to tell you, it made me rather ornery. I shot the lights out of Madison Square Garden, shot a couple of extras with blanks and started their pants on fire because I thought it was funny. Yeah, they didn't. I'd say by the end of it all, my good friend Buffalo Bill regretted every minute of taking me with on that tour. So I saved him the trouble of firing me and I quit. Oh, the West was calling me again anyhow. I had to get back out here. I ended up over there in Cheyenne, Wyoming territory. Now when I got to Cheyenne, well, I found me a card game right away because that's just what I do. I played for a couple days, was doing pretty good. I look up from the table, and in walks a lady friend, Agnes Lake. Now, see, I'd known Agnes for years, and well, when we got back together, it was like we'd never been apart at all. And, well, I guess I can tell you folks, I was rather fond of Agnes, and well, after sitting down with her for a while, talking and catching up a bit, I I found out she's fond of me too, so I asked her to marry me. You know what she said? Yeah, what, no, who said no over here? Come on, you guys. Well, you really think I'd tell the story if she said no? She said yes. So we had a nice little wedding there in Cheyenne, and I whisked her away on a honeymoon to Cincinnati. Now, we did, yeah, I know. Well, at least it wasn't Cleveland, right? We did honeymoon in Cincinnati for a short spell, but Agnes, she had worked there. She's running a circus by this time, and well, I had to get back out here, so I left her there and I headed back west. I figured to myself, Cheyenne seemed like a right fine town. Maybe that's where I'll go start working on a fortune so me and Agnes can retire. Turns out, Cheyenne was not nearly as good to me as I'd initially hoped. Now, I went on this long streak of bad luck, you see. I lost all my money at the card tables. I ended up penniless in the streets of Cheyenne. You know what they did to me? They arrested me! They told me I was a vagrant! They told me to either leave Cheyenne right now, or you'll spend the rest of your time here in the jailhouse. Not wanting to spend a whole bunch of time in the Cheyenne jail, I did heed them warnings and I left. But as I got to the outskirts of town, I ran into this big wagon train. Oh, biggest one I'd ever seen. I looked up front and who's running that thing? None other than my best friend in all the world, Colorado Charlie Utter. Do you guys know Colorado Charlie? Yeah, I heard some yeps over there. A couple people know him. Do you? Well, the ones that do, great. The rest of you, pick up a book every once in a while. Now, Charlie and I, we've been best friends ever since I was a sheriff in Hays City. And when he saw me on the edge of town like that, he got this big grin on his face. He says, "Bill, get on this wagon train with us. Huge gold strike in the Black Hills of Dakota Territory. I tell you what, you come with us, I got a gold claim up there. You can work the claim, I'll drive freight back and forth, and we'll split the money 50-50. Well, being how it was for me there in Cheyenne, that was not a hard decision to make. I hopped that wagon train with him. All sorts of fine folks on there, over 200 of them. 70 plus wagons all filled with goods for this town right here. Now we headed north out of Cheyenne, spent about a week out on the prairie before we pulled up at Fort Laramie. Now, when we got to the fort, they were excited to see us. Well, at least the colonel was anyway. He come running right out the wagon train, says, "Fellas, so good to see you guys. You gotta help me out here. Since these women showed up at the camp, I can't get a thing out of my guys. They don't get any sleep at night. They're staying up all night drinking and carousing with these women. Get them out of here, please." Then we look over and here's Dirty M and Madam Mustache. Little Tidbit was there, and well, this other scrungy looking fella actually turned out not to be a fella at all. I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Calamity Jane. Now, I also know you've been starting and spreading some rumors about myself and Calamity maybe somehow being romantically involved. Not true. Come on now. Didn't I just tell y'all I was married? Man, them rumors get back to Agnes. I'm in all sorts of trouble. Besides, you ever seen Calamity? She looks like a man, dresses like one, drinks like one, curses like one, spits like one, smells like one. Yeah, no thanks. But you know, I probably shouldn't talk bad about Calamity, though, because, Well, I don't know anybody that had a harder life than hers. Trouble pretty much followed her around everywhere she went, but she managed to maintain a heart of gold through the whole thing. Because if you've got a problem and Calamity Jane is anywhere around, she'll help you out. I guarantee it, just the kind of person she is. And we did get to be friends. They all got on that wagon train with us. About a week and a half later, we pull up on the edge of town out here. We look down over this gulch, and it stinks something fierce. It was dirty and muddy and nasty. One street, Main Street, the horses, the cattle, the oxen, they go right down that street, do their business. There was mud and muck on the main street about that deep. It never dried. If you wanted to cross, you had to go all the way to the top of Main, cross up there to come down the other side. The people didn't care. Oh, they didn't come here for how it smelled or how it looked. You know why they came here, right? Gold, and lots of it. They were flooding here by the thousands seeking their fortune. And I was no different. I mean, I wanted my fortune too. I knew I had a working gold claim out there. I went right out and I started working it. I worked it hard for about 3 hours. Yeah. I found out real fast that gold mining was not for me. But Deadwood being what it is, all the people, the gold, the saloons, the gambling halls. Yeah, it didn't take me long to find something else to do in this town. I'm downtown playing cards. Well, now I've gone and done it. I looked at them cards again. I guess story time's over. I need 4 volunteers out of y'all. There's one right there. I'll take you in the pink there. I'll take you over there, and I need a big person. Be right there. Come on up, be my bartender, Harry. All right, let's see. Right here, you're Carl Mann. You own this place now. That guy works for you, but try not to fire him, okay? All right, Charlie Rich, you're over there. Captain Massey, you're right there. Harry, get back there. You can work. This place is a mess. All right, tell you what. I'm having talks to these fellas.